You're listening to Love's a Pitch, featuring yet another babe from the queer community who is going to tell you why they're a catch and then let me grill them about all things love and dating, and hopefully I don't trigger any past trauma. I'm your host, Carolyn Bergier. I hope you've all been enjoying the podcast so far because I'm having a lot of fun with these conversations. Please tell your friends about it, post about it on Lex, go to @lovesapitch on Instagram and flirt in the comments, join the Patreon so we can all overthink our love lives together, and please rate and review it on Apple Podcasts to combat any one-star reviews from homophobes and haters. Before we get to our guest today, a related thing, this past Sunday, I went to Sinful Sundays at the historic Stonewall Inn in the West Village in New York. And Sinful Sundays is a show, an event. It's every other week, and it's put on by Honey Burlesque. And that's relevant because our guest today is a Honey Burlesque dancer. I had so much fun. I mean, I've been to these before and they always are a great time. I always describe it to people as like chill queer strip club vibes. It's on Sunday. It starts at 4. Everybody's hanging out and then the dancers come out and everybody is just having such a good time and nobody's being a creep, hopefully. Usually it's a great crowd for that. So I recommend if you're in New York, check it out, follow Honey Burlesque and go support their events. They hire all queer dancers. It's so much fun. All right. With that being said, I'm so excited for this interview. I can't wait for you to meet this guest. So let's just get right into it. I am here with the fabulous Ruby Quinn. Ruby, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be on this podcast with you. This is exciting.
Yes. You know, I always thought we would dike out together, but this is like just as good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get time with you, so I'm happy.
Yeah, some of our listeners who were also listeners of Diking Out, you might remember me mentioning Ruby as part of Honey Burlesque, which is a queer burlesque group in New York City, and they do stuff in LA too, and perform at a lot of events in queer spaces and queer parties and all that sort of stuff. So that's how we met, was I think on Halloween, you were dancing at a Hot Rabbit event, and then the next day I went to Stonewall, and then that's where we actually met. And I was like, who is this person? I must know.
That was a great day. I remember because it was so busy there too. And it was was that my first time performing at Stonewall? I think it was like one of the first times I'd ever performed there too. So it was like super exciting. I just remember seeing you with your pink hair and being like, oh my God, Carolyn's out there. Like, yeah, not 2 years ago. No, like a year and some change.
Yeah. It feels like a lot longer. But anyway, let's just get into it. First, before you get into your pitch, how do you identify?
I am a queer, she, they, Brooklyn baby. I am polyamorous. I am also pansexual. No gender is safe from me. Yeah, that's who I am.
When you say Brooklyn baby, is that the same as like Taylor Swift saying she feels like people are sexy babies? Are Brooklyn babies and sexy babies same things or different things?
Well, we hate Swiftie. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I cannot. I've never been able.
Coming out of the gates being super controversial here.
Yeah, I know that. Like, listen, I feel like a lot of the girlies are like, no, she's gay. Like, we're waiting for her to come out. And I just don't trust her. I just have never trusted her. I'm like, snake. Sorry.
Fair. All right. Well, Swiftie's listening before you stop this episode. Let's at least let Ruby pitch herself.
Right.
Go for it. Why are you a catch?
Okay. I am a catch. I know I'm a lot to catch though. Like, you know, you reel in the fish and you're like, this is going to be great. And then you get the fish on the boat and you're like, what did I just do? But I'm a good catch because, listen, I believe in adventures. I'm like such a hopeless romantic at heart, but it takes me a long time to like let someone in because I'm just like, because people are people. I don't trust them. I feel like I'm pretty open-minded, and I really try, like, being poly, like, you have to be communicative and you have to be open with, all of your partners, else it's just not going to work and it's going to harbor dishonesty. So I think I'm pretty honest and I'm upfront with what I want. I'm a burlesque dancer. I don't know. Like, that's sexy to watch your partner, do some. I feel like I'm not selling myself. I feel people are like, in their head, they're like, "Oh, God." Yeah, and I really like the outdoors. I'm a country babe, I want to serenade you under the stars. I want to do stupid, cheesy stuff together. I don't know. Hopeless romantic.
So, as a burlesque dancer, do you feel like that's a place where you end up meeting a lot of people that you end up dating? Or is that a place you want to avoid meeting people that you end up dating?
I feel like when I started, I was like, yes, I'm so excited to meet people here. Like, this is the best way to meet people in my sexy element. But then I realized, I was like, oh no, like, that's not a good idea, because yeah, people are attracted to like your persona who, like, is part of you, but isn't you all the time.
Right.
I realized just very quickly, I was like, oh no, this is not. So I don't really like if someone tries to ask me out while I'm dancing, I'm just like, oh boy, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I just can't. So I don't do the apps anymore. Like, I really try to meet people in person, just because, like, I don't trust apps. Like, I want to make sure I meet you in a place that, like, I know that we already are both attracted to, because we have similar wants, interests. So I mean, if I meet someone after the show, and I'm staying around, we're talking, that's great, but yeah, definitely not trying to like have someone whisper in my ear, like, while I'm dancing, like, I want to take you out to dinner. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just give me money now.
Slide their number into your.
Yeah. Or like the slide in. Oh my gosh. I literally, oh God, they slid into my DMs and they're like, I'm usually not attracted to performers, but I really just am so into you. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's supposed to make me feel good? And I see them at events all the time now. And I'm just like, When I was seeing this one girl, she was like in her friend group. And I was just like, I'm never going to tell anyone what you said to me, but I know what you said to me. Anyways.
That just reminds me of, sometimes people are like, normally I don't like female comedians, but you were really funny. I'm like,
oh my God. You're like, wow, that's literally, you just outed yourself as a sexist.
Yeah.
As a misogynist.
But I feel like that performer thing, it's like, oh, your type, usually not for me. Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, great.
Yeah, you don't like talent?
I do get it, because like, it is challenging, I feel like, to date someone who takes their clothes off for a living,
Yeah.
It can be challenging, because some people get really jealous. And it's like, it's my work. It's not me. And I just, the jealousy, like, the number one thing I just cannot stand is jealousy. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And
that could never work. Do you feel like you encounter a lot of people who say they're not jealous, or they try to like convince themselves that they're not jealous, but then like have constantly jealous behavior?
Yes. Or like, even they're like, oh, it's totally fine. But then they see like you dance on someone, and then they're like, what about that? Or like, sometimes, I work at like a sex club, and like this one, it's my friend. So like, I kissed her in the performance. Like, I also do a bunch of performances where like at the box, I'm in a number with all my friends, and we're like making out on stage. And someone who I was seeing was like, well, I saw in this video you were making out with them. I was like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's my job. Like,
yeah,
friend, I don't know. You don't kiss your friends. Maybe don't, but I think friends should kiss each other more.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, a friendly kiss. Everyone loves that.
As long as it's all consensual and not weird. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged jealousy thing for you, between being, as you said, somebody who takes their clothes off for work, and then being polyamorous.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But then in polyamorous, that's another thing that it's like jealousy is a natural human feeling that people feel, and they're not necessarily like in control of. And if you feel jealous, it doesn't mean you're a monster, but it's like, what do you do with that feeling is what's important.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard from some people in polyamorous relationships who are like, oh, like I should still be able to be jealous as long as I'm not like acting on it and being like, you can't do this, you can't see this person, and having those requests be out of jealousy, you know? On the flip side, though, if somebody gets jealous by watching you do your job, that right away just seems
God.
like
I'm like
a problem. That person's constantly going to be triggered.
Literally all the time. And it's like, I want to bring you to my work. Like, I want you to have fun with me because I'm having so much fun. And like,
yeah.
And like, if you can't see that it's fun and that it's not that serious, like, then there's literally no way. There's no way that it could work at all, possibly at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I feel like sometimes, like, I'll get into, like, I really like someone and they haven't been dating poly people for maybe ever, or, and I'll try to get into it. And like, it's kind of hard. It's hard. Like, I feel like I've tried to be more selective and being like, well, if you're not poly, then like, we shouldn't date. Just because like, I know that's where I'm at right now. But also sometimes people just like are so delicious and you just like, but sometimes, you just like, someone is just like, you're so attracted to someone and you're like, okay, let's see if we can make our crazies work together. So I don't know. I feel like in a very wishy-washy of like, what kind of poly am I looking for right now? Because I don't know. Like, I feel, is that confusing? Yes.
I mean, it might be confusing to some people listening, but I'm also right here with you.
Yeah, because like, I don't know. Sometimes like, you don't want to deny connection you have with someone. And like,
right.
And I think relationships are about give and take. And it's like, okay, what am I willing to sacrifice to see you? What are you willing to sacrifice to see me? Because like, as much as I would like to be like, these are my terms, conditions, this is the contract that I need you to sign, I feel like it's not always realistic. Like, I've never met someone who ticks all the boxes. Like, someone who maybe shares like all my ideals, like about dating poly-wise, is like their personality is just monstrous. And I'm like, no, this is like, it's just hard to find the balance. And I guess that's just like dating in general in life, you're trying to find those people who make you the best version you can be. But I think that comes with compromises too.
Yeah. And I think too, when it comes to being poly, because, we were recently talking about this, I was like, I need to stop seeing people who have no experience with this because it doesn't end well. Like, they might say they're open to it, but it is always ends up being a problem. But on the other hand, it's like everybody has to start somewhere. And if someone is legit open to it, they need somebody who's been there to kind of like guide them and help them. And like, that's not their fault that they haven't had that experience yet if they know and want. It's just hard to judge like, who is that person who says, yes, this is what I want, or somebody who just thinks it's what they want, or they're saying it's what they want because they might want something from you personally, know?
And you never know.
It makes it tricky. Yeah, until you try. So you mentioned it's hard to find somebody who checks all the boxes. What are the other boxes? So poly, not a monster.
Yeah, poly, not jealous, not a monster. I feel like in my dating experience, I've mostly dated like artistic like folks, like of different walks of life. One of my exes is like, and it's great. I love it for them. I'm so happy for them. But I see their face all over the subway because they're a lead in a Broadway musical right now.
What?
Yep. And I see their face all.
You dated Leah Michelle?
Ha ha ha. Sure. She's gonna come after me. Maybe she will date me after this. Who knows?
She might be listening. She might like the pitch.
I know. She's like, oh, I gotta text my ex, Ruby. So like, I feel like I've dated, I don't know. And I don't know if that's like me being attracted to someone's like talent. Probably. Like, I feel like That's like a huge proponent of why I'm initially attracted to someone. But yeah, I feel so I've definitely dated a lot of artistic people. Doesn't mean you have to be artistic, but I do feel like I fall for people who have some sort of artist spirit or creative spirit. Other things, I don't know. I feel like if I look at the people I've dated, like it's kind of a very wide array of people. You know, we have everyone in there. Like,
Right.
sometimes I think about this. This is like a weird fantasy that I have. Like if I had all the people I've like kissed, dated, had sex with in like one room, if they would be able to all figure it out. I mean, I'm sure they would. They eventually. But like there'd be a lot of random, totally different kinds of people in there. I think everyone would just be like, what is this? But I would feel very proud.
You just described either the most fun or the most awkward flash mob.
I think it would be fun in the end.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun in the end.
I'm picturing you walking onto a subway car and like one by one you start looking around and realize it's like an organized flash mob of your ex.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Honestly, it would be really funny. And I feel like most of my exes that like are like people I've been with, like, I don't know. I feel like for a while I would like when I was younger, like I was a menace and like would start things and then I would just disappear into oblivion. Like, no, I'm bad. I was a bad not bad. I just was afraid of intimacy, you know?
I mean, I think we're all allowed those years.
True. Oh man, I thought I was going to be such a good catch. And now that we're talking about this, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I the villain? Am I the drama? A little bit.
I was going to say we're all allowed those years. And I'm like, but I don't think I had those years. I'm always too nice to people.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think I like ghosted or was like necessarily bad. I don't know. Email in exes if you're listening.
Oh no. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Let me know. I mean, I know I'm not a saint, but I would say like during the relationship or like I don't think I've ever ended things in a ghosty fashion.
That's really fabulous for you.
But maybe it's like I'm of a different generation, Ruby.
Ooh. Well, no, you're also just a good person. And I believe that.
Good person.
I am, but I'm a menace and I'm a chaotic menace. And it's not even,
yeah.
I blame it on my Scorpio moon. I do. Even though I'm a Cancer. I am a Cancer. And I got a Sag rising. So I'm just trouble. Sorry.
Are there signs that you stay away from?
No. I feel like I'm not like, if people tell me they're a certain sign, I'm usually not like, oh God, I can't date you. Signs that do make me raise my eyebrows. I think Gemini always makes me raise my eyebrows a little bit. I have a bunch of Gemini in my chart too. But you know, I go, okay, this could be really great or this could be terrible. I don't have any signs that scare me though. Yeah, I can confidently say that.
It's so funny you said that. Yesterday I was talking to someone and I asked what their sign was and they're like, hold on to your seat. And I'm like, are you a Gemini? And they're like, bingo.
Because listen, they're so good at communicating, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's way too much. And you're like, whoa, this is just unfiltered thoughts. And then sometimes they're like so into you. And then you turn around and you're like, where did you go?
Yeah.
What happened to you? So I always have like a little bit of caution because my best friends is a Gemini. Love them to death.
Same.
Love them to goddamn death. But I'm like, no, you're a Gemini. I see it. I see how they love people. And I'm like, no, I get it.
Have you ever lived with anybody that you've been with?
Kind of. Okay. So I never like moved in, but it was during college and oh my God, it was a horrible man. It was a horrible man. It's during college and he lived in Colorado. I was going to school in New York. I don't know even how this happened, but I was like, okay, I'll go work in Colorado for like 2 months. I was going to work in Colorado for all of May and then part of August. Yeah. Cause I was doing a contract in New Hampshire for the other part of the summer. So yeah, we lived together for like a month and then 2 weeks. But like that's not like living together with them.
Yeah.
But like it was like that's the most I've ever had. Like I lived with this person for like a month just because I was like, oh, I have to wait for my contract to start. And that was disgusting. I was, God, this was just so chaotic. I was the only girl in the house, and they were just like 3 mountain men, and they were just all of them just so dirty. And I was just like, ugh, it was just so gross. It was so gross.
Yeah.
I just lost all respect for this person. I just couldn't even stand it. The last 2 weeks I went back to like stay with him. I did not stay with him. I went camping. I was like, I can't. I'd rather live outside than live with you. This is insane.
Yeah.
We broke up, which was great. That was the worst relationship I've ever been in.
It sounds like it. I mean, the way you described him off the bat of being a horrible, horrible man.
He was a horrible man. I won't drop names, but yeah, terrible. I don't know. They probably had a glow up. Probably not.
Is that something that you want? Like, do you see yourself ever like getting married, kids, any of that stuff? Or
I despise kids. I also am like so terrified by the like literally the first time I ever felt a baby kick, like my cousin's baby kicked in her stomach, I screamed. I was like, that's terrifying. Never inside my temple. God, never. And no, I could never do it. But marriage, I feel like I've thought about that and I'm like, okay, tax reasons, that could be nice. Also, if I married someone who was really rich, you know, I would do that for sure. Like, is that bad? I mean, I don't know. I've thought about the idea and I joke about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just marry someone very wealthy who's close to the grave. And that'll be my one marriage of my life. But seriously, I feel like if someone, I would like to have a primary like that who like wants to marry me and be close to me. I would just have to, you know, I want us to stay freaky, babe. I want us to have the pineapple on the upside down pineapple on our table. Like I still want to be me. But yeah, I think that's something that's more plausible to me than children. That's an absolute fucking no. Yeah, one of my the Broadway ex, we like basically broke up because first of all, like and I was in love with them. Like absolutely. Like that was like the love of my life. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, did I let them get away? But I also felt like I was having them date me in a way that they didn't want to date. Like I don't think they wanted to be open like in the way I wanted to be open. I also felt like they really loved kids. Like that's like one of the biggest joys that they've wanted in their whole life. And they're like, you know, if I was with you, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to take someone's like joy like that away. Like if you want kids, like you should be able to have that.
right.
And like, I know it's like when I start, you know, when I'm with people, like I know like it's early, but like I try to lay that down early. I'm like, I'm going to be the rich auntie who is a fun one, but I'm not having kids. Like no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. That breakup was hard because I was so in love with them, but I just knew I was like, I feel like I'm having you date me and like, you're not happy. Like you're not dating, you know, the way you want to date. Like you want to date someone monogamously. You want to have kids. And it wasn't right. And I was like so heartbroken about it. And like, sometimes I still cry when I think about them, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's life. I think it would have been like worse if I had just dragged them along, you know? At least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a temptation to compromise our wants and needs when we really like a person and feel connected to a person, but ultimately it won't work if you're compromising at that level.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like my longest relationship too, and like we were dating over the pandemic, so I think a lot of things for people who were dating people during that time, you know, you were letting a lot of things that were important to you slide.
Right. So that was your longest relationship. How long were you together for?
Well, so in classic Ruby fashion, I kept them at a distance for like 4 months. I was like, we're not dating. I was like, we're not dating. We're just seeing each other. We're not dating. And then after 4 months, I'm like, okay, I want to be with you. And then I was like, a couple months in, I was like, hey, we should start getting freaky with other people. And they were like, okay, yeah. But it lasted like, I think from the time we said we like were dating, it lasted like exactly a year, even though like we had been, it was like almost a year and a half, like of us like seeing each other. Yeah, that was like my longest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I do feel bad because I feel like I don't feel bad. I feel like somehow, I don't want to say like I'm a chronic, like I date people back to back, but sometimes it feels like that, you know, like sometimes like it does, like, I don't know, like as soon as something ends, like literally, like, I don't know, something starts again. And I like try to be like, I'm like, no, I'm going to be independent. I'm going to be single. But somehow it always ends up happening.
I had a conversation about this the other night. So Cecilia and I, we went to this polyamorous dinner party thing for queer people. And it was just to like make friends and get to know more people and talk about our experiences. And I was telling someone how, you know, before becoming non-monogamous, I was a serial monogamist and I was just always back-to-back monogamous relationships. And they said, yeah, I hear that a lot. And it makes a lot of sense because a lot of poly people, it's like we don't have like, I need to word this right to not have it sound bad for monogamous people, but it's like we're able to love maybe a lot more easily. Like if we can love people simultaneously,
yeah,
then we're able to kind of go from one thing to another.
Yeah.
And like in our past, so like maybe like there wasn't an overlap, but like back to back, like there might as well have been an overlap.
Oh my God, yeah. And sometimes,
you know,
and listen, like sometimes there are overlaps. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too far into anything, but yeah, I don't know. Like I've had overlaps before, but it's not like I'm lying to anyone or like saying anything, but like it happens. And like, you know, sometimes I feel guilty because I'm like, wow, I really liked this person so much, but I also like this person. And as things were ending with this person, this was just getting started. And like that always makes me feel guilty because like I also don't want anyone, you know, like, yeah, it makes me feel bad. There's, you know, that was a situation that kind of happened recently just because our polys didn't match. And as much as I cared about them and I was like, in my perfect world, I was like, no, we can still, you know, maybe we just take a break and like, we'll like still keep seeing each other. Like it didn't match, but there was like, and there was an overlap with another partner I was starting to see. And yeah, but I felt guilty about that. But I mean that at you being able to say that, like why it seems like things are so often back to back. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little better.
Good.
I also feel like so I got broken up with by my first boyfriend ever after I thought we were going to get married and everything. Oh God. But then just recently I got broken up with by my girlfriend. And I was like, wow, I haven't been broken up with since I was like, what, like 14 or something?
You're usually the dumper.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
But it was like, you know, yeah. And maybe that's like also a problem of mine is that like, I don't know. I was like, wow.
Folks, if you're looking to get dumped,
no,
slide into Ruby's.
Oh my God. See, now, Carolyn, now I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I say yes to this? I'm such a backward date.
Not at all. If everyone's being honest with themselves, we all have our things. We're all doing our best, hopefully. Some people don't seem like they're doing their best, but I would like to believe that most of us are out here doing our best.
Yeah, like I'm not out here trying to rip people's hearts out. I don't think any of us are. Well, some people are. Men are more fun to do that with. I would never intentionally do that to a woman. That's just cruel. But men, a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Men, I almost like sometimes get like a little bit of a high from it, you know?
Since we're talking about it, what are some differences that you've noticed between dating men, dating women, if you've dated non-binary people?
Okay. So one of my friends, it was funny because like the first time, like I knew I like was attracted to women, but I didn't think that made me queer. Like I was just like, I was like, yeah, I want to kiss her. I also was having sex with women, but I was like, I'm not queer. Anyways, so I met this person. They're non-binary at the contract. Oh my God. I'm so messy. It was at the contract that I was at, when I was living with that terrible person, but I was across the country doing a show. So I met this person. We did see each other on and off for a couple years. And they were like, well, if you like me, like, you're absolutely queer. And I was like, I don't think so. And they're like, no, you are. And I was like telling them, like, I was like, yeah, like I was attracted to these girls. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you are queer. And I was like, oh, I guess I thought if I liked guys, okay. So I think whenever I'm dating someone who is non-binary or seeing someone who's non-binary, like I do feel like such like a high and such a euphoria when like the gender, like there are no gender roles, like I don't have to like be a femme. I don't have to be anything because I'm not putting those roles on them and they're not putting them on me. So I feel like there's a bunch of like lovely, lovely exploration and like different hats that we both can wear that like always like makes my heart flutter. Yeah, sometimes I love being more masculine, because like, yeah, when I'm dating a guy, they're most likely not gonna let me be the masculine one. But I do feel like as now I'm, more comfortable in my queerness, I feel like the men I attract, like, God, they're very either like they're giving very
They love to be pegged.
Yes. You already knew. They already, yeah, like I guess I'm just attracting, like I'm like soft top king energy.
Yes.
Like definitely like I'm like pulling in these like bisexual men, I feel like. And actually my the Broadway ex the other day did give me a call and they were like, hey, I wanted you to be the first one to know that I'm bisexual. And I'm like, babe, I already knew that. I was like, you kissed all of my drag friends. Like you've literally kissed all of my mask presenting friends in front of me. Like I know you suck dick occasionally. You're gay.
But that was you. That was you kissing girls and having sex with women and never realizing you were queer.
I know.
And you're like, look, I've been there.
Yeah. As much as I was like, congratulations, I was also like, I told you. Yeah, so definitely I'm not like, oh God, I can't do like, if you're a man and I can't feel like I can bring you into my scene, my queer scene, like obviously I'm not going to bring like, if I'm seeing a man, I'm not going to bring him to like a femme-centered show. Like that's just like, me personally, I think that's just like kind of disrespectful. I don't know. That's me personally. Like if I don't know. It's just not their space. They have so many other spaces to be in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like men, I can't do like the masculine fight eye, like gross. I literally get away from me. I can't do it.
No fleece vests.
Yeah. We're attracting more like feminine men in this era. Women, I feel like dating women is the connection you have is just like, it's so different. It's a spiritual, you have to be ready spiritually to like grow with a woman. Cause sometimes I feel like with men, like you do talk with them, but it's not like, I don't know, like those talks that you have on the pillow with like the woman you're with, like those like change you. I don't know. It's like, it's so different. Like, I feel like spiritually, my heart is so much more alive. It's also, you have to be ready to have like long hours dedicated to the bedroom because, if you're with a guy, it's like, oh, all right, we're done. But women, no. We have to have hours dedicated. We need to be like, okay, we're scheduling when we cry. And then afterwards, by this time, we have to be in bed. And because otherwise it's not going to happen tonight or I'm going to fall asleep because we're crying together. But yeah, I don't know. And I think that's also why I like dating in this poly world because I feel like I do want a little bit of this and I do want a little bit of that. I'm greedy. I want everything. I want it all. And I just feel like dating everyone is so uniquely different and wonderful. And like, I'm not trying to hide my attraction for anyone. And because I just think dating both are really beautiful. And I think you can find, even in the male species, you can find really beautiful people there too. And obviously, more in our non-binary femme category, you're going to find many more gold stars.
Do you have like an ideal mix in terms of like you want like a primary and then like a couple people you're seeing casually, or like have you found a balance, I guess, that works for you, or does it just depend on like who's in your life at that moment?
I think it depends on who's in my life at that moment. I feel like eventually one day I'm going to want someone who's like that person for me. Yeah, who like maybe we have like a couple that we like really like together, or maybe I don't know. I don't I have all these ideas, but I'm like,
that's totally fine.
I also feel like having like a specific vision might be kind of hard to get to, because I feel like being poly, there's so many moving parts. So as much as I have like, in a perfect world, this is what I would want, I think I just have to play it by ear. I find the most beautiful things happen when I just let go and let life take me down this lazy river and let things find and create organically. But eventually, yes, I mean, in my perfect goddamn world, yes, I'd love to have a partner who's close to the grave, who I can marry and take their money, and I can have all the relationships I want. But, as funny as that is, like, maybe slightly a little bit true. I'm evil. I'm sorry.
Because you're like a burlesque dancer and a performer, do you think that people have certain expectations of you or like misunderstandings about like what you're going to be like to date?
Yes. I do think people have dated Ruby before. And I think there's people, who date like me, my non-performer self. Because I think I've had people like fall in love with Ruby and not necessarily like, my muggle government name self. Yeah, I think sometimes when people are dating Ruby, they're expecting someone who's like really confident in everything they're doing, like, crazy chaotic, like so much sexy fun. But I think like me as a person, like I actually have like a lot of like intimacy issues. I think we all do, but like me personally, I feel like, I have like a lot of intimacy fears just because of, everyone has them for different reasons. I also have like a lot of anxiety about everything. Like I'll spiral in my head all day for hours. Sometimes I can't get out of my bed until I have to go to work. So I think when people see that, they're a little shocked sometimes at first if like they're thinking they're going to get Ruby, because they're like, wow, this person is like afraid of touch sometimes, afraid of connection, like afraid of the world outside, and I think that like has shocked people in the past because they're like, that's not at all who I thought you were. And I'm like, yeah, because you didn't meet me, and I'm
right.
And I'm a mess. Ruby's messy and fun, but like I'm a little, I'm working on it. I'm trying. I'm going to therapy, like, sometimes I think people think it's going to be like, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm a Cancer, I'm anxious and I get sad. I cry a lot.
Like cry. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a depressed babe, but like, who's not? Who's not?
That is such a funny thing that you think people would get, because you literally perform under a different name. You are like on a stage, you're wearing a costume. It's a performance. And yes, there are like elements of who you are in that performance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like,
but there's a lot you take off when you go home and you're just being you.
Yeah. And I think, like that's why when I do meet people, like it's funny because like really most people I meet nowadays, like if I meet them at a bar, if I meet them like at a class, like a pole class, like I'm always introducing myself as Ruby. Also because I feel like that is like almost a protection too, like a little bit, like in pole class, you know, like, oh, I'm in my head. Like I watch other people around me. I'm like nervous, but when I'm Ruby, I'm like, okay, I have this protection. I can do this. Like, I don't have to be afraid of X, Y, and Z. I don't have to be socially anxious about talking too much or too little. But yeah, and maybe that's like my own fault because I do meet so many people and I introduce myself as Ruby just because like, I don't know, maybe that's my fault a little because I just blur the line in most aspects of my life, but I don't know.
It's interesting to me that you say you don't like doing the apps because I feel like apps are a space where you can really separate Ruby out and put yourself out there as your muggle name.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I did. So 2 of my exes.
Not to say apps are like a great place to be in or anything.
Listen,
but...
yeah, they work for some people. They work for, you know, I was in two long relationships. My first girlfriend ever, I met on Tinder. And then my Broadway ex, I met on Hinge. But I just noticed that like I already kind of knew the Hinge ex a little bit just through like mutual friends. But I think just for me, like my friends liking you is so important, like me fitting into your life. Like, I don't know, like sometimes you meet people on apps and you're just like, so what do we actually like about each other besides the fact that we both think we're hot, you know?
Yeah.
Or think each other are hot, you know? So I feel like I've just been trying to stay off it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I meet so many beautiful people in real life.
Yeah. I mean, it is nicer to meet people organically.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I meet so many people all the time. So it's like.
Yeah. But you're meeting them a lot of the time as Ruby.
Yes. Also true.
But then I guess you as Ruby can kind of like filter out the people that you want to like let into that other side of you. Or like other side, your real self.
Yeah. Like I feel like, so this one person slid into my DMs, but they're also a performer. And they like didn't realize that like I was a full other person. Like they were like, oh, like they picked me up and they're like, oh, I was like wearing my glasses, like I'm in like a turtleneck, you know, I'm just like my country bumpkin self. And they're like, oh, I really just thought that was you. I just thought you were Ruby. And I was like, oh, nope, surprise. That is me. But like, they thought that was like my Instagram was like my personal account. And I was like, oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm like saying very contradicting statements over here, but
I don't think so.
I feel like I'm such a villain. God. I'll stop it.
Some people are into that. No, I don't think you're a villain. I will say right now for all the listeners, I mean, I don't know you extremely well, but I've, hung out with you somewhat regularly, whether it be like out while you're working or out seeing a show together for over a year now. And I would not describe you as a villain at all.
Well, thank you. That makes
and even better. After like listening to all this and hearing about that, like you're just, unfortunately, a normal person like the rest of us struggling to make connections in a world that is burning. Like what? Literally. What can you do?
Yeah, literally. And learning how to trust people and sometimes you trust the wrong people and sometimes you make a fool of yourself. And I think that's just like finding love and finding connection and ay.
So what kind of people ideally would you like to seek you out from listening to this? Like if someone's listening, is there an age range? Should they be in New York?
I cannot do long distance. I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at responding to text messages. So preferably if you're in New York, yay. Preferably if you're, open to polyamorous, open to other kinds of relationships. Someone who is maybe artistic in some sort of sense, doesn't matter like what, if you feel like you're an artist of any capacity, maybe it's a little bit of a hopeless romantic. I think most importantly, just, someone who wants to, is just like really good at living life. Like I really want to live life like with someone who just like has a lust for life and just is like really ready to live it,
Yes.
That's really important to me. Like I want to be inspired to be my best self with someone. I don't want to like merge our lives together and like think about our lives like together, but I want to be equally inspired by you individually living your life and how I can live my life, and how you may have one side of the equation, I may have another, and then together it's just like fireworks, you know?
I love that. And I'll add on to that, if you're also very old and have a lot of money.
Yes. Oh my God, especially if you're old and have money. Closer to the grave.
And you're feeling generous. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm so sorry. I just cannot date anyone younger than me. So please, if you're under 26, I just can't. I'm so sorry. I just can't. Nothing against you.
You have, but you can't.
Yes. Yeah, I have, and I shouldn't. I need to be the messy one, okay? Not saying that being older makes you less messy, but like, I'm the baby.
The Brooklyn baby.
I want to be the Brooklyn baby, okay? Lana Del Rey's Brooklyn baby. Fuck T Swiftie.
How should people reach out to you?
You can follow me at Ruby Queen on Instagram. RUBYQWEE 4 N's. NNNN on Instagram. I'll drop my social security. I'm just kidding. Instagram's the best.
Give Ruby a follow. And if you have an interesting pitch for yourself, then send a DM, but don't be a creep.
Yeah. Yeah, no creepies. No creepy.
No creeps.
We love a nice, kind human. No creepy.
Yes.
Like you. No, hey baby girl, I want to blank your blank. That's just, yeah, I'm sorry.
And also, pro tip, don't start out with, I'm normally not attracted to performers.
That will be a quick delete.
Yep. All right, Ruby, thank you so much. This has been great, a great conversation, even though I feel a little bit bad. I feel like you're going to spiral for like the next 6 hours or something because of this, but you absolutely shouldn't. You absolutely shouldn't. This has been lovely.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. All right. I'm not going to spiral. You already know me. I'm like, my eyes are like starting to get really wide. I'm like, what the fuck did I just say about myself? Okay. It's great. No, it's great. I had such a good time with you. Thank you.
I know we talk a lot about the difference between Ruby's onstage persona and who she is offstage, but I think one thing can inform the other. Like, Ruby is absolute dynamite when she performs. She is a force, and one of my favorite things about watching her is that she is genuinely having the most fun while she's performing. And I think that says a lot about who she is off stage, because she knows what she's good at, she knows what she loves to do, and she gets out there and does it. And I think that's just so cool that she figured that out for herself, but also at such a young age. Please follow me on Instagram at TGI Carolyn. You can also follow me on TikTok. Some of you know that I've struggled with TikTok in the past, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to start putting stuff out there. Some of it will be good, some of it will be bad, but I am going to be posting clips from this podcast on my personal TikTok account. So again, that's at TGI Carolyn. And then if you go to @lovesapitch on Instagram, that's where you'll see videos of the pitches, photos of the guests. If you want to support the queer love that I'm trying to make happen in this world, if you want to keep this podcast going, go to patreon.com/lovesapitch. You can get ad-free episodes. There is a Discord. There's going to be extra content that I'm putting there. There eventually will be Zoom chats. You can make a 1-minute pitch that will appear at the end of an episode if that's something that's interesting to you. Also, rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. This podcast is produced and edited by Caitlin White, and the music is by Velico. Thank you for listening. Now, I've got to go spiral over how I said that it's fine for friends to kiss when I actually don't know if I think that's a good idea. Maybe sparingly. I don't know. I'll get back to you next week.